The Princess and the Silent Human. The wind blew softly through the ruins of old Earth. Broken buildings stood like forgotten ghosts. The sky was gray, and the ground was quiet. No one lived here anymore. No one. Except him. Princess Soraya stepped out of her silver ship. Her tall figure, wrapped in royal robes, moved slowly across the cracked ground. Her blue skin glowed faintly under the cloudy sky. 2 royal guards followed behind her, but she raised her hand. "Stay here," she said. "I must face him alone." They stopped. She walked forward, her heart beating fast. 10 years. It had been 10 years since she last saw the human named Jace. 10 years since the Great War ended in fire and silence. And 10 years since he looked at her, then turned his back without a word. She found him sitting alone in the remains of an old city square. His clothes were dark and torn, but his eyes still burned like before, sharp, quiet, and filled with something heavy. Pain. Anger? She wasn't sure anymore. "Jace," she said softly. He didn't move. She took another step. "I came to talk. To make things right." Still, no reply. The silence between them was loud, louder than bombs, louder than screams. "I know you hate me," she whispered, "but I had to come. I need answers." Jace stood up slowly. He turned to face her. His face was older, rougher, but familiar. His eyes met hers. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then he spoke one word. "Why?" Soraya froze. His voice was like gravel. Dry. Cracked. Wounded. "Why what?" she asked, confused. "Why did you lie?" He said, taking a step forward. "Why did you leave me to die?" Her breath caught in her throat. I didn't know." Jace laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Of course you didn't. You were the princess. Protected. Safe. While He looked around at the ruins. "I was buried under all this." He pulled something from his pocket. A small necklace. Old. Rusted. A tiny stone in the shape of a star. Soraya's eyes widened. "That's mine. I gave that to you. Before the final battle." He nodded. "You said you'd return. That you believed in peace. Then you disappeared. And the attack began." She stepped closer, voice shaking. "Jace, I didn't know my father." "Your father gave the order," Jace said, his voice sharp now. "I heard it. I saw the signal. He called me a traitor. A mistake. And you said nothing." Tears formed in her eyes. "I was locked away. They told me you were dead." He stared at her, unmoving. "I came back," she said, her voice breaking. "As soon as I escaped. I came here to find you. To know what really happened." Jace looked down at the necklace. "You're 10 years late." The silence returned again. She looked at him with sorrow. "Please, let me fix this." "You can't fix the dead," he said quietly. "But maybe you can finally hear the truth." Soraya's heart sank. Then he said something she didn't expect. "You don't even know who you really are, do you?" She blinked. "What do you mean?" He looked her in the eye. "The war wasn't about territory. It wasn't about power. It was about you." She took a step back. "That's not possible. You were more than just a princess. You were a key," he said. "Your father used you. And I tried to protect you. But you believed him." Soraya's lips trembled. "What are you saying?" Jace didn't answer. He turned his back to her again and began walking toward the shadows of the ruined city. She called out, "Please, Jace, don't walk away again." He stopped. His voice echoed through the broken streets. "You want the truth? Then come back tomorrow. Alone. I'll show you what your people did." And just like that, he vanished into the ruins. Soraya stood there, frozen, clutching the necklace close to her chest. Her mind spun with questions, with fear. She thought she came to make peace. But maybe, She came to open a wound that never healed. Whispers of war. The night was quiet, but Soraya couldn't sleep. Inside her ship, she sat alone in the royal quarters. The walls were lined with gold panels and glowing lights, but they felt cold and hollow. She held the small star-shaped necklace in her hand, her fingers tracing its worn edges. Jace had kept it all these years. She stared at the cracked glass in the center of the charm. Long ago, it had held a drop of glowing energy, a gift from her people, a symbol of hope. Now it was just a shell, empty, like the bond they once had. His words haunted her. "You don't even know who you really are, do you?" She whispered into the silence. "Then tell me who I am, Jace." But there was no reply. Only the low hum of the ship and the ache in her heart. The next morning, she walked through the ruins again, alone, as he asked. No guards, no weapons, just her long white cloak trailing behind her on the dusty ground. The sky was brighter today, but the world still felt gray. She found him waiting by the ruins of an old human library. The building had half collapsed, vines growing through shattered windows, books torn and scattered like fallen leaves. He stood beside a broken statue of a human soldier, staring at nothing. "You came back," he said without looking at her. "I said I would," she replied softly. He turned to her. "Good. Then it's time you see it for yourself." He led her inside the broken building. The floor creaked under their feet. Dust rose in the air. They moved past broken shelves until he stopped at a sealed door hidden behind a collapsed wall. Jace pulled away the rubble. Behind it, a metal panel blinked faintly. "This was a secret room," he said. "Only 3 people knew about it. Me, your mother, and you." Soraya's breath caught. "My mother." He nodded. "She wasn't like your father. She believed in peace." He placed his hand on the scanner. After a short beep, the door slid open. Inside was a small room with a table, 2 chairs, and an old projection unit. Everything was covered in dust, but it was still working. Jace pressed a button. A hologram flickered to life. It showed a younger Soraya, maybe 12 years old, sitting beside her mother. Her mother was speaking softly. "If you're watching this, it means the truth is finally reaching you." Soraya stared at the image, frozen. She had no memory of this recording. "Your father started the war. Not the humans. He wanted something hidden beneath Earth's soil. Something ancient. Something powerful. But Jace, he tried to stop it. He risked everything to protect the secret." The hologram shimmered. "He was your protector, Soraya. He was assigned to you for a reason. Not just because he was strong, but because he cared." Tears ran down Soraya's face. She reached out, but her hand passed through the light. The message ended. The room fell silent. She turned to Jace. Her voice cracked. "Why didn't you show me this before?" "You wouldn't have believed me," he said. "Back then, you trusted your father. You thought I was the traitor." "I was a child," she whispered. "You were the future," he replied. "But they used you, and when I tried to protect you, they tried to kill me." He sat down, his voice low now. "That last mission, the one where you gave me this necklace, you were never meant to return. Your father sent me out alone. Said it was a peace mission, but it was a trap." Soraya sat across from him, her mind spinning. "He betrayed both of us," she said. Jace nodded. "And now you know why I stayed silent." Words didn't matter anymore. She stared at the necklace in her palm. The small star had once glowed with hope. Now it looked like a reminder of everything broken. "What do we do now?" she asked. He looked at her for a long moment. "That depends," he said. "Do you want the whole truth, or just the part that hurts less?" She looked up. "All of it." Jace stood. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small device. Rusted, old, but still active. He tossed it onto the table. It projected a map. "This is where the war really began," he said. The map zoomed in on a location deep beneath Earth's surface. Soraya gasped. That's not on any records. Of course not. Your people erased it, but I was there. He pointed to a small marker glowing red. We found something buried there. Something your father wanted to control. He thought it would make him a god. But it wasn't a weapon. It was a child. Soraya froze. What? A child, Jace repeated. Alien and human. Together. A hybrid. One of a kind. Her hands trembled. That's not possible. Jace looked her in the eyes. Your mother protected the child. Your father ordered its destruction. And me. I took the child and ran. Silence. You're lying, Soraya whispered. Am I? He asked, stepping closer. Then come with me. Tomorrow. I'll take you there. I'll show you what they buried. And who they try to erase. Soraya looked at the map again. Her whole world was shifting under her feet. Jace said nothing more. He walked to the doorway and stopped. And Soraya, if you still think I'm lying after that, I'll disappear forever. Then he walked into the light, leaving her alone in the dark room. She didn't move, couldn't move. Her father had started a war for power. Her mother had died for peace. And now, the one person she thought she betrayed might be the only one who truly protected her. The forbidden memory. The air was colder the next day. Soraya stood at the edge of the forgotten forest, far beyond the ruins of Earth's last city. Trees had grown wild here, taking back land once covered in fire and metal. The only sound was the wind moving through the leaves. Jace was already waiting. He stood with his back to her, facing a narrow path hidden behind thick trees and tangled vines. He didn't speak as she arrived. He simply looked over his shoulder, gave a small nod, and turned toward the path. No guards, no words. Just quiet footsteps and the weight of a secret that had waited 10 years to be uncovered. They walked for an hour in silence. Birds flew overhead. Branches cracked under their boots. Soraya's heart beat faster with every step. Her mind kept replaying the hologram of her mother. The words, the warning. A child, not a weapon. It made no sense. How could a child be the center of a war? And why couldn't she remember anything about it? As the trees thinned, Jace suddenly stopped. He knelt near a fallen tree, brushed away leaves, and revealed a rusted trapdoor. He looked up at her. You sure you want to remember? Soraya hesitated, then nodded. I need to. Jace opened the hatch. A staircase led deep underground, carved into old stone. The air below was damp and still. He led the way down. The tunnel opened into a chamber built with alien stone and human tech. Lights flickered faintly along the walls. Old machines hummed softly, still alive after all these years. In the center of the room was a pod. Soraya stopped, her breath caught in her throat. The pod was glass and silver, shaped like a cradle. Inside, she saw only a blanket. No body, no child. She turned to Jace. Where is the child? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked to a screen nearby and touched a few buttons. The lights in the room changed. A new hologram appeared. It showed a younger Soraya, maybe 13, standing beside Jace. In the hologram, she was smiling, laughing, holding the hand of a small child with glowing green eyes and dark hair. A hybrid child, a mix of human and alien. Soraya gasped. That was me. And that girl was the one your father wanted erased, Jace said. She wasn't a weapon. She was your blood. Soraya stumbled back, voice shaking. No, I would remember this. Jace walked over and gently took her hand. He turned her wrist over, showing a faint scar. You asked me once where you got this, he said quietly. Your father told you it was from training. She looked at it now, different, like a forgotten mark, hiding the truth. You were there, he continued. You tried to protect the child. You fought off the soldiers, and when one of them fired, you stepped in the way. Soraya stared at him. I was shot. He nodded. You almost died. Your mother took you back to the palace and ordered the memory wiped. She said it was the only way to keep you safe. Soraya's eyes filled with tears. That child. What happened to her? I took her, Jace said. Ran into the wild. Hid for years. Raised her like my own. He walked to a panel and pressed another button. Another hologram appeared, this time showing the child at 5 years old, playing in a hidden garden, laughing, running. Jace sat nearby, watching her like a father. Soraya fell to her knees. I had a sister, she whispered, and I forgot her. Not by choice, Jace said, but your father made sure the past stayed buried. She looked up at him, tears streaming down her cheeks. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He knelt beside her. I wanted to. Every day. But when I came back after the war, I saw your face on the Empire's broadcast. You called me a traitor. I didn't know, she said again. I was just saying what they told me to say. I thought you were the enemy. I know, he said. That's why I stayed silent. They sat in the quiet chamber for a long time. Soraya stared at the hologram of her younger self and the child she couldn't remember. The child who had been erased from history, from her mind. A forgotten sister. Hours passed. When they finally left the chamber, the sky outside was burning orange with sunset. Jace closed the trapdoor and covered it again with leaves and branches. As they walked back, Soraya stopped. Where is she now? She asked softly. Jace looked at her. His voice was low. She's alive. I moved her after the attack. She lives in hiding, safe, far from the Empire's eyes. Does she know who I am? He shook his head. No. I told her you died long ago. Soraya closed her eyes, pain hitting her chest like a blade. Then I need to see her. Not yet, Jace said. You're still royalty. If they find out you're with me, she's not the only one they'll come for. Then I'll leave the throne, she said. I'll give up everything. Jace smiled, sad and tired. It's not that easy. The Empire doesn't let go. Soraya looked into the trees, then back at him. Then we fight. As the sun dipped below the ruined skyline, Soraya stood tall, cloak blowing in the wind. Everything she thought she knew was gone. But something new had awakened inside her. Not just guilt, not just grief. Purpose. She turned to Jace. Tomorrow, take me to her. He hesitated. They'll come after us. I know. They'll try to silence you again. I'm done being silent, she said. They buried a memory, but they made a mistake. Jace raised an eyebrow. What? They let you live, she said. And you kept her alive. The royal secret. The palace lights flickered softly above Soraya's head. She stood alone inside the deepest chamber of the royal archives, her breathing shallow, her heart pounding like a drum. These walls held the Empire's oldest secrets, files that no one, not even a princess, could easily access. But she wasn't here as a princess anymore. She was here as a sister, as someone who had been lied to for too long. Jace's words still echoed in her mind. You don't even know who you really are. He was right. She didn't know, but she would. Now, the archive room was silent. Only the hum of old machines filled the air. She wore a cloak with the royal sigil, but she felt like a stranger in it now. Her fingers shook as she touched the glowing panel in front of her. Access SDNID. She closed her eyes, then whispered the override code her mother had taught her long ago. A code Soraya was never supposed to use unless everything else was lost. Royal BLOEDLINE CO and FIRMID. Access guaranteed. The screen blinked and opened a hidden section titled Project AN. Eyes only. She hesitated, then tapped it. Thousands of files flashed across the screen. Soraya scrolled through them with growing dread. Reports, research logs, audio files, all focused on one subject, the child. Not listed by name. Just Subject A1, hybrid entity. Soraya opened the first report. Her mother's voice played softly. Today, the child opened her eyes. Her DNA is stable. She has both human and royal markers, stronger than expected. Her heart rate is calm. Her skin shifts color with emotions. She recognizes Soraya. They've bonded. Soraya's eyes filled with tears. She had known the child. She had loved her. But the memories were gone, scrubbed clean by her father's orders. Next file. Her father's voice. Cold. Sharp. The experiment has gone too far. The child is too strong. If she lives, the bloodline is no longer pure. The throne could pass to her, and the humans will see her as a symbol. We cannot allow that. Order given. Terminate the project. Eliminate the entity. Erase all related memories from Soraya. Soraya stepped back from the screen, trembling. He didn't just lie. He didn't just start a war. He tried to kill his own daughter. And he used her, Soraya, to keep the truth buried. She opened the final file. It was a security log, footage from the day the facility was attacked. She watched herself, young Soraya, crying, holding the small child in her arms, refusing to let go as soldiers dragged her away. Jace stood in front of them, bleeding, protecting the two girls with a broken weapon. He yelled something, words lost in the static. A shot fired. Soraya fell, and the child screamed. The screen faded to black. Soraya stood frozen in the dark room. Her father had erased everything. And her mother had tried to stop him, to save them both. No one ever knew what she had done. But now, Soraya did. And the Empire would never be the same. Later that night, she stood on the balcony of her private quarters, the stars above her blinking coldly. She had summoned her AI assistant. Bring me the current location of Emperor Kalen. He is on the Central Fleet, en route to Earth. Her eyes narrowed. He's coming here. Yes, Princess. He is coming to retrieve you. Orders marked urgent. Her voice was sharp now. He knows I've seen the files. Possibly. But he does not know what you plan to do. She nodded slowly. Then whispered, he's not the Emperor anymore. Not to me. A soft knock came at the door. She turned sharply, ready to command the guards away. But it wasn't a guard. It was Jace. He stepped into the room, holding a small datapad. I got your message, he said. What did you find? She didn't speak right away. Instead, she walked up to him and placed something in his hand. It was a small crystal chip, carved from royal tech. I found her name, she said. Jace looked down at it. Soraya smiled softly, through the pain. Her name was Lyra. My mother gave it to her. He stared at the chip. Lyra. And she was meant to be Empress after me, Soraya said. My father saw it in her blood. That's why he feared her. Jace looked up. Then what do we do now? Soraya stepped closer. We bring her back. To the world. To the stars. We tell the truth. You know the risk, he said. She nodded. I know. They'll brand you a traitor. I'd rather be a traitor than a puppet, she whispered. He looked at her for a long time, then handed her the datapad. She's waiting. I've kept her hidden long enough. That night, they boarded a small stealth ship. No royal codes, no guards. Soraya changed into simple traveler's clothes, her crown left behind. Jace took the pilot's seat. She looked out the window as the ship lifted into the sky. I'll never go back, she said. Jace gave a small smile. That's the first real thing I've heard you say since you were 13. She laughed softly. It felt strange, but warm. Then she placed the chip with Lyra's name into her pocket. I'm going to meet my sister, she said. And this time, I won't forget her. Buried truths, burning skies, The ship cut through the upper atmosphere like a silver blade. Below them, Earth stretched wide and wild. Vast forests, empty cities, and places long erased from maps. But Jace wasn't looking at the planet. His eyes stayed on the scanner. "They're close," he said. Soraya stood beside him in the cockpit, her fingers gripping the edge of the control panel. She wore no crown, no royal robes, just a dark cloak and the name of the sister she had once forgotten. Lyra. "How close?" she asked. Jace pressed a few buttons. A red mark appeared on the display. "Central Fleet, 5 ships. Your father's lead cruiser is one of them." Soraya's heart jumped. He came himself. "He knows," Jace said, "or he suspects. He wouldn't come otherwise." She looked out at the sky, now filled with early morning clouds. The sun peeked through the horizon, casting golden light over the old world. "Then we need to move fast." An hour later, they landed the ship deep in a hidden valley, far from any signal paths or satellite eyes. Jace had picked this place years ago for one reason. No one could find them here. Not even the Emperor. The village was built into the earth. Wooden houses, hand-built towers, solar panels woven with vines. Humans and aliens lived together in peace. No empire, no war, just quiet survival. Children ran across a stream, laughing. Freighters moved between homes, carrying baskets of fruit and tools. No one noticed the newcomers at first, until a girl with glowing green eyes looked up. She froze. Soraya saw her and stopped walking. The girl couldn't be more than 10. Her hair was dark, her skin pale with a soft shimmer that shifted slightly when the light touched her. And her eyes, those bright, shimmering green eyes, they were filled with curiosity, strength, and something familiar. "She looks like," Soraya whispered. "You," Jace said. The girl ran toward them. Not to Soraya, but straight to Jace. "Daddy," she shouted. Soraya's heart almost stopped. The girl wrapped her arms around Jace's waist. He knelt and held her close, brushing her hair back with shaking hands. "I missed you," the girl said. "I missed you too," he whispered. Soraya stood back, silent, watching, feeling. Jace looked over his shoulder. "Lyra," he said gently, "this is someone I want you to meet." The girl turned toward Soraya. She tilted her head. "You look like me." Soraya knelt down slowly, tears already forming. "That's because we're family," she said softly. "I'm your sister." Lyra blinked. "I have a sister." Soraya smiled through the tears. "You always did. I just didn't remember until now." The girl stared at her for a moment, then smiled wide, and hugged her. They spent the day together in the hidden village. Jace introduced Soraya to the others. Humans who had once been soldiers, alien scientists, even defectors from the Empire. All of them had one thing in common. They had chosen peace, and they had helped raise Lyra when Jace couldn't do it alone. Soraya listened to stories. She sat beside Lyra under a giant tree while the girl told her about her favorite books, her dreams of flying, and how she'd once seen a sky whale during a storm. "She's amazing," Soraya said to Jace that evening. He nodded. "She's everything we hoped for." "But she's not safe here," Soraya added. "Not anymore." Jace's face darkened. "No, she's not." That night, the stars were covered in smoke. Jace looked up from the village tower. Red lights blinked in the distance. "They found us," he said. Sirens rang through the village. Families grabbed their children. Defenders ran to the edge of the valley, setting up shields and old pulse rifles. Soraya stood beside Jace at the control center. Her voice was steady. "How long?" 15 minutes, maybe less. They're moving fast." Lyra ran into the room. "What's happening?" Jace knelt. "Trouble, sweetheart. You need to stay with Mira." The girl nodded, but her eyes were wide with fear. Soraya bent down and took her hand. "Remember this," she said gently. "No matter what happens, you're not alone." She gave Lyra a small pendant, the same star-shaped charm she once gave Jace. "Keep this," Soraya whispered. "It means someone loves you." The sky turned red as the first cruiser arrived. It hovered above the valley, casting a massive shadow. Dropships descended like black arrows. Soldiers in silver armor landed hard, weapons drawn. But they weren't expecting a fight. The village defenders pushed back fast, using terrain and old war tricks. Soraya moved through the battlefield like a storm, no longer a princess, but a warrior. She used the training forced on her by the Empire, against the Empire itself. Jace fought beside her, silent and focused, his eyes always drifting toward the hills, toward Lyra's hiding place. But it wasn't enough. More ships arrived. A voice echoed from above, loud, cold, royal. "Soraya, this is your father. Surrender now. You have broken every law. Do not make me destroy what you love." She looked up at the sky. "I'm not afraid of you anymore," she whispered. Inside the palace cruiser, Emperor Kalen watched from his throne. Beside him stood a tall shadow, an armored hunter known only as the Warden. A weapon of the old empire, loyal, silent, deadly. "Send him," Kalen ordered. "I want the girl." The Warden bowed once, and leaped from the ship like a blade falling from heaven. Back in the valley, Soraya saw him land. A tall black figure, no face, no voice, moving fast toward the hiding place. "Lyra," she gasped. Jace saw him too. "Go," he shouted. "I'll hold them here." Soraya ran, through smoke, through fire, toward the small cave hidden in the cliffs. Inside, Mira was protecting Lyra. But the Warden had already found them. He raised his blade. Lyra screamed, and Soraya stepped in front of it. The blade struck her arm, sending her flying backward. Blood spilled onto the rocks. But she stood up again, face to face with the shadow. "No more running," she growled. "You'll have to go through me." The truth he hid. The battle in the valley had slowed, but only for a moment. Smoke drifted through the trees. Fires burned across the hills. The wreckage of dropships littered the ground. Bodies lay silent, both human and alien. The Empire had brought its wrath, and the village had fought back with everything it had. But now, the real danger had arrived. The Warden, silent, unstoppable, a figure from the darkest corner of the Empire's history. No one knew if it was human, alien, or machine. Only that once it was sent, nothing survived. And now it had come for Lyra. Soraya stood between it and her sister, blood dripping from her arm where the blade had cut deep. She didn't care. The Warden raised his blade again, long, black, and glowing red along the edges. But Soraya didn't move. She wasn't afraid. Not anymore. Behind her, Lyra trembled, holding the star-shaped necklace tight in her small hands. The same one Soraya once gave Jace, the same one Jace had returned to her. It pulsed faintly, like it remembered too. "Stay behind me," Soraya whispered. The Warden stepped forward, then stopped. He tilted his head. Something had changed. Footsteps echoed through the rocks behind them. Jace appeared, his arm torn, his armor cracked, but still standing. His face was grim, determined, but his eyes, they carried something Soraya hadn't seen before. Fear. Real fear. "Don't," Jace said sharply, stepping beside her. "You can't fight it. Not like this." "I'm not leaving her," Soraya said. "I know," he replied. The Warden took another step. Jace turned to Soraya. "There's something I never told you. Now, of all times." "Tell me later," she said, gripping her weapon. "There might not be a later." The Warden lunged. Fast, too fast. Soraya raised her blade, but it was like blocking a falling star. Sparks exploded. She staggered backward. Jace charged forward, firing his pulse gun. The Warden twisted through the blasts and slammed him into the rock wall. Jace, Soraya screamed. But he stood back up, spitting blood. I'm not done. The warden came again. And this time, Jace did something different. He didn't shoot. He didn't block. He stepped in close and slammed his hand onto the warden's chest. The armor sparked. A glow spread from Jace's palm into the warden. The monster froze, trembled, screamed, and exploded into a storm of black ash. Silence fell. Soraya stared. "What did you do?" she asked. Jace fell to his knees, breathing hard. "That," he said, gasping, "was the truth I hid." He looked up at her, pain in every word. "I'm not just human, Soraya. I never was." She helped him sit against the cave wall. Lyra knelt beside him, scared. "You're bleeding," the girl said. "I'll be okay," Jace whispered. Soraya looked at him. "What do you mean you're not just human?" Jace smiled weakly. "It started before the war. Before I even met you." He looked at Lyra. "I was part of an early experiment. Your people, they were trying to create a protector, a hybrid warrior, human strength, alien intelligence, built to defend the royal line." Soraya's eyes widened. "You were one of the first." He nodded. "I wasn't supposed to survive, but your mother saved me, hid me in plain sight. She assigned me to protect you, not as a soldier, but as a brother." He winced. "I failed." "No," Soraya said, gripping his hand. "You didn't." Jace looked at Lyra. "The truth is, I wasn't the only one. They tried again. With you." Lyra blinked. "Me? You're different for a reason," Jace said gently. "Stronger. Smarter. You feel things others don't. That's not a mistake. That's your gift." Soraya turned to her. "Your power is buried for now, but it's inside you." Lyra's lip trembled. "But I don't want to fight." "You won't have to," Jace said, smiling. "Not if we protect you." Outside, more explosions shook the valley. Jace stood with effort. "We need to get out. More are coming." Soraya nodded. "There's a ship. Mine. If we reach it, we can disappear. Hide her somewhere even the Empire can't reach." Jace looked uncertain. "They'll follow. They always do." Soraya touched the necklace around Lyra's neck. "Then we stop running." As they moved through the valley, the sky above them filled with fire. The Emperor's main ship hovered, black, massive, blocking out the stars. Troop carriers descended in waves. Then a voice boomed through every speaker. "Soraya, daughter of the Empire, you have made your choice. You will return my blood, or I will burn the world." Jace looked at her. He's not bluffing. Soraya's jaw clenched. "Then let him come." They reached the clearing where the stealth ship was hidden. Soraya turned to Jace. "Take her. Get her inside. I'll hold the line." Jace grabbed her arm. "You can't win alone." "I'm not alone," she said. Then she looked at Lyra. "You have something inside you, something sleeping. If it wakes up, it might save us." The girl shook her head. "I don't know how." "You will," Soraya said, "when it matters most." The final wave of soldiers landed. Soraya stepped forward, blades in both hands. Jace stood behind her, guarding the path to the ship. Then, the Emperor descended, not as a voice, but in person. Tall, proud, wearing golden armor. His face was older, sharper, colder. Kellen, her father. He stepped forward alone toward Soraya. "I gave you everything," he said, "and you throw it away for a broken memory." Soraya's voice was steady. "You gave me lies, and you tried to erase my sister. She is a danger to everything we built," Kellen snapped. "She is everything you failed to build," Soraya replied. Kellen raised his hand. "Stand down. Give me the child, or you'll die with them." Behind Soraya, Lyra's hands glowed faintly. Jace noticed first. "Soraya, But it was too late. Kalen lunged. Soraya blocked, but he was stronger. Blades clashed. Then a blast of energy surged between them, white, bright, pulsing with force. Kalen was thrown back. Everyone froze. They turned. Lyra stood at the center of the field, eyes glowing like twin stars, energy rising from her small hands. She didn't look afraid anymore. She looked awake. Kalen lay on the ground, stunned. Soraya moved fast, pulling Lyra close. Jace fired a flare into the sky. The stealth ship rose behind them, doors open. "Now," he shouted. They ran. Soraya carrying Lyra, Jace covering their backs. As they boarded, Kalen stood, roaring after them. "You can't hide her forever." Soraya turned at the door, one final time. "No," she said, "we won't hide her." She looked at Lyra, whose glow was fading. "We'll show the galaxy who she is." And the ship rose into the burning sky. She wasn't ready, but she chose to change. The stars stretched wide beyond the window of the stealth ship. Soraya stood beside the pilot's seat, staring into the black sky. Her hand rested gently on Lyra's shoulder. The little girl sat quietly, her glowing green eyes full of questions, and something new. Awareness. A spark had awakened in her. A power that had slept inside her bones for 10 years now pulsed gently beneath her skin. She had felt it, used it, and now feared it. "I hurt him," Lyra whispered. "The Emperor. I hurt him." "You protected us," Soraya said. "There's a difference." Jace glanced at them from the pilot's seat. "We can't stay in the system much longer." His fleet's looking everywhere. "Do we run again?" Soraya asked. "No," Jace said firmly. "No more running. Not for her." Lyra looked up. "Then what do we do?" Soraya leaned closer and whispered, "We show them the truth." They traveled to a place even older than Earth. An ancient satellite station, long forgotten, hidden in a dust belt between star systems. It was once a broadcast hub for the early Galactic Alliance. Now it was dark, broken, silent. But Jace had been here before. "I fixed the relay last year," he said, "just in case we ever needed a voice louder than the Empire's." Soraya stepped out first, her boots echoing on the steel floor of the station. Lyra followed, clutching her hand. They reached the main chamber. Lights flickered on. Screens glowed to life. A console blinked with one word: "Broadcast ready." Soraya stood in front of the camera. Jace adjusted the angle. Lyra stood beside her. "This signal will reach every system," Jace said. "Once we start, there's no turning back." Soraya took a deep breath. "I don't want to be a princess anymore," she said quietly. "I just want to be a sister who tells the truth." Jace smiled. "Then speak." The broadcast began. Across the galaxy, on spaceports, in cities, aboard ships, screens lit up with Soraya's face. People paused. Soldiers stopped moving. Leaders leaned forward. They saw her not as royalty, but as a daughter of the Empire who had vanished and returned. Her voice rang out. "My name is Soraya, firstborn of Emperor Kalen. And this is Lyra, my sister. She was hidden from you, buried, erased, because her bloodline did not fit the Empire's vision of power. But she is not a mistake. She is the future. And I will not let my father hunt her anymore. I am done with silence. And I'm not alone." She stepped aside. Lyra stood in front of the galaxy. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her eyes glowed softly, and the stars seemed to pause. Back on Kalen's flyship, the Emperor stood frozen in front of the screen. Behind him, officers whispered. One voice finally spoke. "Sir, there are protests on 5 core worlds, even within the palace." Another officer added, "Our outer colonies are refusing orders. Some of the royal guards have defected." Kalen's hands curled into fists. He stared at the screen, at the child he had tried to erase. "I made this empire," he growled, "and I will not be undone by a child." On the satellite station, alarms rang out. "They found us," Jace said. Soraya spun to him. "How long?" "2 ships, maybe 5 minutes." Lyra's voice was calm. "Let them come." Soraya turned to her. "Lyra, I'm not afraid anymore," the girl said. "If he wants me, he can see who I really am." Jace opened a hidden compartment and tossed Soraya a pulse blade. She caught it. "Let's finish this." The station shook as Callan's forces landed. Troops poured into the halls. Blasters fired. Sparks lit the dark corridors. But this time, Soraya didn't hide. She fought. Jace fought beside her. And Lyra, she walked forward, eyes glowing brighter than ever, hands raised, but calm. "I don't want to hurt you," she told the soldiers, "but I will stop you." One soldier raised his weapon, then froze. Her glow washed over him. He dropped the weapon. Others followed. The Empire's control, shattered by a child's gaze. Then the door opened. Callan himself stepped through. He looked tired, furious, desperate. Behind him stood only 2 guards, his last loyal men. He walked straight toward Lyra. "You," he spat, "you are nothing. A failed experiment." Soraya stepped in front of her. "No," she said, "she's what you could never be. Pure, unbroken, chosen. I built the Empire," he roared. "I gave this galaxy order." "You built fear," Jace said coldly. "And fear burns out." Callan raised his arm to strike Soraya. But Lyra stepped forward. She touched his hand, and everything stopped. His memories flooded into her. She saw everything. His rise to power, his choices, his lies, his guilt. She didn't speak. She simply understood. And then she let go. Callan fell to his knees, silent, defeated. He looked up at Soraya with empty eyes. "You win." "No," she said. "We all win, because she chose not to become like you." The Empire didn't fall that day, but it began to change. 1 year later, Lyra stood on a new world, green, alive, peaceful. She wore no crown, just a soft white robe and a small necklace in the shape of a star. Beside her, Soraya smiled. Jace stood behind them, watching like always, silent and proud. The 2 sisters walked forward onto a platform. Before them stood thousands, humans, aliens, hybrids, soldiers, civilians, all who had once been divided. Lyra raised her voice, not loud, but strong. "My name is Lyra. I was once hidden. Now I am here. Not to rule, not to destroy, but to begin." Together, the crowd erupted in cheers. Soraya leaned down. "You weren't ready." Lyra looked up at her. "I am now." Soraya smiled. "You changed everything." Lyra took her sister's hand. "No, we did." And far above them, the stars burned brighter than ever.